I see a gentleman over there in front here, please. Then I'll come to the middle over there. Yeah, after that.
Sir, I'm Surya Narayan of the Hindu newspaper of India. I'm based in Singapore. So your point about the difference between China and India is well taken. And so also your point about the difference between India and Pakistan. But South Asians, when they are abroad, tend to mingle more freely among themselves than when they are in their own respective countries. In this context, do you think the Chinese diaspora has any lessons to offer to the South Asian diaspora? Thank you.
No, when you're out of the local animosities and you're a minority in a Western country, say in America or Europe, then your animosities disappear because you're a minority. Therefore, you tend to group together, and the differences and the angst and the jealousies that you feel for against each other in India and Pakistan disappears. But once you go back to India or you go back to Pakistan, you are trapped by a vast majority of people who are enmeshed in this historical conflicts. It's not easy to solve.
So I guess the Chinese diaspora doesn't have the same problem then?
The Chinese diaspora, to begin with, we all speak the same language with different accents. So there's no difference in language other than accent. Nevertheless, I would say the closer you get to China, the closer or the stronger becomes the provincial pulls.
I saw one gentleman in front here. Please go ahead. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Sir, my name is Omkar Shrestha from the Institute of South Asian Studies and from Nepal. So, when I meet many people from different countries, more now than in the past, they lament that there is only one Lee Kuan Yew, and too bad Singapore got it. And they also said, if only there are ways to clone Mr. Lee Kuan Yew and distribute fairly to different countries. But that's not my question. My question is, Asia, with its vast financial resources, it must ensure that the global financial system remains sound so that the interest of the region's savers is well protected. And this will require Asia to play not a passive role or passive participant in the debate on global role, but active participant in setting the global rules. Is Asia ready to play this intellectually leading role in the making of global rules and in the global base setting? Thank you.
I think before you can play a leading role in the world, you must get your own house in order. Then you win what you call soft power. You know Joseph Nye's distinction between hard power, which means your economic, military and other strength, and soft power, which is your attractiveness. To increase your attractiveness as a soft power, you must make your society admired and people want to become like you. You said Nepal. All I've been to is Kathmandu, and I can't say I know Nepalese culture, but I know that I spent a hectic day there, and And it wasn't a memorable experience.
The gentleman at the same table before I go somewhere else. Yes.
I'm Makaran Paranspe from the National University of Singapore and the Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. Sir, my question goes back to two issues that have come up again and again in this discussion. The first is the model of leadership, and the second is the paradigm of development. You kept saying that in countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, there's no leader that's acceptable to everyone because of divisions of language, ethnicity, and culture. But we had at least one such leader, Mahatma Gandhi, or Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. And I noticed that in your writings and in your works, you hardly ever refer to Gandhi. So first, I want to ask you what you think of him. And secondly, as a follow-up question, to the paradigm of development, in your own work, you said third world to first world. But going back to Gandhi, I think there was an attempt in India to suggest that another world was possible, that we did not have to imitate the Western model of development, and to become first world was therefore not really desirable. So would you say that in today's 21st century, those dreams of an alternate paradigm of development and of leadership have to be basically given up, and that we all join the same competitive world and the same kind of development, which is actually ruining the planet? Thank you, sir.
Well, I'm not sure about ruining the planet, but it's ruining a lot of egos that their country is not as well developed as the next country. And it's a problem that cannot be resolved. This is a globalized world, becoming ever more interconnected with the internet, the iPhone, all the modern gadgets, which gives you into instant contact with anybody, anywhere in the globe. So it is impossible to say, I live in Bangladesh or in Nepal or whatever, and I'm sui generis. I don't aspire after all these material possessions. I don't aspire to have a high standard of living. I don't aspire to have a high standard of medical services. I don't aspire to have a high standard of leisure, and so on. It's just not possible. We are cheek by jowl, living with each other, conscious of each other's benefits and strength, and wittingly or unwittingly wanting the same for ourselves.
How do you respond to the first question about Gandhi, Mr. Lee?
Well,
how do you explain his appeal to all of India?
I didn't write about Gandhi because he's a special phenomenon, an Indian phenomenon. Austere, self-sacrificing, he led a cause for Indian independence. But that's it. He did not run modern India. When independence was obtained, Nehru took over and he had to run a modern India. So in other words, Mahatma Gandhi as an icon to spur the people with passive resistance to British rule was a great success. But Mahatma Gandhi as a transformer of India did not exist.
I'm afraid we're running out of time. I have the unpleasant task of choosing the last two questions. I'll start with the gentleman over there, and then I'll come to you, and then, because those two hands have been up for a long time. Gentleman over there. And I apologize to all of you, but we do have a very limited time. Please make your question very good, by the way.
I'll try to make it, sir. Thank you for giving the opportunity. I'm Kiran. I am from Bangalore, and I'm here as an MBA graduate, MBA student from SP Jain Center of Management. Like most of us here, I'm a big fan of you, sir, and it's an honor to hear from you and the other delegates over here. one question, most important question, which I want to ask here is, what is the role of meritocracy in protecting the country's own citizens? Is it always a good thing, or does it have a disadvantage as well? Thank you, sir.
I didn't follow that.
Your question is about meritocracy.
Yes, sir.
So what's the...
I'm asking how important is the role of meritocracy in protecting the country's own citizens? And is it always a good thing to have meritocracy, or does it have any disadvantages as well?
Are there any disadvantages to meritocracy?
No, I do not accept that there are disadvantages to meritocracy. Let's remove the foreign element first. There's no better way to run a country than the best man for the most difficult job. The foreign element, you have to decide whether you accept the foreign talent to increase your megabytes and increase your computer capacity, or you reject them and have a slower working computer. That's the choice. Now, in the case of Singapore, we accept the extra megabytes, and that's why I think we are more successful than we otherwise would have been.
Okay, last question over there, gentlemen. Yeah, sorry, I apologize to all of you. I see lots of hands, but I had to recognize the hand's been up for a while.
Thank you. So, I'm Binod Chaudhary from Nepal. We all know that India is well poised to become the third largest global economy by 2020 or so. And perhaps we are all also aware that there are problems that exist with the neighboring countries in South Asia between India. There are issues in terms of imbalances of trade deficits. There are political issues where India is often seen as participating in a manner which has not helped these countries. My question to you is that, is it possible for a country to become a global power surrounded by neighbors with whom you don't have a very friendly relationship?
There are two different questions. You can be a global power with enemies, with small enemies all around you who cannot affect you. But if you want to, that again is hard and soft power. But if you want to be a successful power, both exercising military force and economic power, and at the same time soft power being an attractive society, then you should not have your smaller countries around you antagonistic or feeling suppressed.
So, Mr. Lee, that's a very optimistic note to end on. You all know that Mr. Lee is always very direct and very frank. His response, he has not let us down. Please join me in thanking him now for his contribution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, and thank you very much, Professor Kishore Mahbubani. May we please invite you to remain on the stage for a brief moment, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to invite Dr. Ma Swan Hu, wife of the late Dr. Balaji Sada Sivan, to present a copy of the book written by the late Dr. Balaji Sada Sivan that was launched by President S.R. Nathan at the convention just before this dialogue. The book, published by the Institute of South Asian Studies, is titled The Dancing Girl, A History of India. Dr. Ma is accompanied by Ambassador Pillay on stage to present the book. May we give them a big round of applause, please. Thank you very much, Dr. Ma, and thank you very much, Ambassador Pillay. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew will now take his leave. Please join me in giving him a big round of applause for gracing this occasion.